Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has given a progress update on the ongoing IMF Diagnostics program. With the program due to conclude in October this year, the CS says he sees no reason why the report shouldn't be made public. The assessment program requested by the Kenyan government is set to identify the weaknesses in the country's governance system and outline key recommendations for effective governance. Jimmy Mbogo now takes a look at the process, its benefits, and why the involvement of the civil society is key.
It is a process that is expected to expose the country's governance underbelly to strengthen critical governance system, ranging from revenue mobilization, expenditure, procurement process, fiscal governance, as well as corruption and the rule of law, among others. According to the National Treasury CS, the move to invite the IMF to audit Kenya's system is aimed at equipping the government with the tools to seal all the governance gaps.
The government of Kenya requested for governance diagnostics from IMF, which is a normal practice. Many jurisdictions, many countries, many economies have sought for such assistance. IMF is actually an institution that helps countries or economies to stabilize.
But civil society actors say the move is key for both parties.
For IMF to regain its legitimacy in Kenya, they need a governance diagnostic based on what happened and the outright failure of their most recent program. They now have no choice than to go deeper and broader beyond just fiscal measures. Okay? It is very clear that the US Embassy, EU ambassadors told Kenya you need a governance diagnostic.
Diana Gishengo says the International Monetary Fund will rely on numerous sources of information such as government reports from the Auditor General, EACC, Controller of Budget, media reports, as well as civil society reports, even as she warns against the government interference in the process to paint a rosy picture.
But because of the political governance in the fiscal space, we are perceived as an irresponsible borrower, an irresponsible spender, and a country with very low standards of accountability. When it comes to the FATF process, we've not made much progress for 10 years.
But according to Dr. Abraham Rugo, the Executive Director of Budgeti Hub, the report may not reveal any new information that has not been revealed by local institutions. He further emphasized on the importance of political goodwill for the outcome to be effective.
I mean, the part that will be most interesting to watch is what is different from what EACC has already revealed, what the Auditor General has already revealed, what the Controller of Budget has already revealed. There are enough reports that show, where the vulnerabilities are.
The consequences of the report, however, is the most concerning, with experts warning that a damning report from the International Monetary Fund could further complicate Kenya's ability to access funding from the international market.
The outcome should be that then we have an agreed position of how, but largely it's the international bodies, because they use that, international bodies both public and private, because they use that a lot to be able to assess the risk, their risk exposure to the investments, both the ones they are giving straight to government, but also the investments they are making, in Kenya.
The international market read it very, very keenly. They read it very, very keenly, and it informs how they interact. But it's not so much the report, it is the leadership that takes up the report, how the leadership of that particular country takes up the report.
Civil society has further warned the government against concealing the report.
It will be an abomination for this government not to publish this report. It is a Kenyan report. It cannot be in a shelf. It cannot be private. That is why I am saying I expect that whether it's the Prime Cabinet Secretary or the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury and Planning, when they get that report, it goes straight to the Speaker.
I was very careful to say from where I sit, I don't see why that should not be made public, but that will be a cabinet decision.
Now, according to experts, the outcome of the IMF governance diagnosis is dependent on how forthcoming the government will be with information, while its impact will be based on how the government implements the recommendation from the IMF. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.